Hey everybody, welcome back to RPG Imaginings. You may be experiencing deja vu right now, but it's actually not deja vu. This box set for Torg, the role-playing game, is actually a new box set that I just got. And, wondering why the heck would you buy a second box set? Well, I didn't purchase this auction. I didn't bid on this auction for the box set. An additional box set just happened to be part of it. I was lucky enough to win an auction for essentially an entire collection. I mean, not a complete collection, but a large collection of Torg supplements from the original era back in the 90s. And so I wanted to feature it here on the channel so that y'all could sort of see what I've done. After I did that video, which I will link down in the description box down below, of the Torg box set that I had purchased from a nostalgia standpoint, I was reading through the world book in that Torg box set, and I'm like, gosh, this is just all just creative fodder. And if I never play Torg ever again, it at least is going to get me thinking about like what to do in any campaign that I'm running for any role-playing game. So there was an auction that people weren't biting on, and I'm like, is it because the shipping is expensive? The shipping on it was pretty expensive, but whenever I bid on the eBays, I'm thinking about like the total cost of the auction. And so nobody was bidding on it, so I bid on it, and you can see, as far as I can tell, there's a complete set of cards here. I think I looked in one of these books, and this is a second printing of the original box set, and so there's a lot of other stuff that's included with this that I'll show you here in a moment, but this is a second printing box set, which, it can't hurt to have this, because if I ever played the original Torg, that's just additional books that I can, throw out there for my players. And so, yeah, it's kind of beat up. It's definitely more beat up than my other box set, but that's okay, because this is really just the least exciting part of the auction that I want. I think for this collection, I paid a total of, $77. Or maybe it was like 81 with tax. And in my opinion, it's a super good deal, because check out what I got out of this. So I'll move the box set out of the way. What was most exciting for me when I was looking at this is this includes nearly a complete set of all of the worlds for Torg. And these world books, source books for the different worlds, are what I am most excited about, and where there's going to be the most mineable ideas for me for other role-playing games. Because, if you're a viewer of the channel, you know that my take on any role-playing game is that these are all options for us that can be used in storytelling in any game. And I think the concept behind Torg, like many universal style role-playing systems, is that, you should be able to use things from game to game. So Tharcold is the source book of techno horror reality. And I'm not going to flip through all these books because, I don't want the video to run too long. But each of these books, I think, basically has the same format. There's an introduction, talks a little bit about the Cosm itself, talks about who the High Lord is for that Cosm. There's, usually a detailed map of the area and what is present there. And so, for example, there's always these triangle maps that exist in which, depending upon how the different aspects of particular worlds work out, they might have a complete conversion to the other world. There might be sort of a mismatch. It might be very close to, sorry about that, present day Earth. There are lots of different possibilities. And you can see that Tharcold nearly borders up to the living land in parts of the United States. So Tharcold is basically Los Angeles, or over Los Angeles. Specific world laws, magic in that particular realm and how it works. Miracles of faith, so sort of like clerics are a big deal in Torg. Different characters and creatures that populate the world, and that's a huge chunk of this. Since this is a techno reality, we have information on cyberware, which there's a lot of connections, I would argue, between a cyberpunk style of gaming and Torg. I think West End Games and the writers of the original Torg, their idea is like, what is all the coolest things happening in role-playing? Let's cram them all into a game, and honestly, they weren't wrong, okay? And then we'll have an equipment chapter for the particular section. Because, all these different worlds have different technology levels. And the grid, which is sort of the computer complex and how cyber warriors sort of interact within this reality. And there's this really interesting, crazy mishmash between horror and technology here, and then some example, player characters that you might have for this. And so I now have original supplements for Tharkold, Isle, which is the magical / fantasy setting for Torg, Nippon Tech, which is mega corporate reality, sort of based off of corporate Japan and ancestral Japan. So you got some samurai stuff in there. The Living Land, which is the land of the lost, primitive sort of reality. And the Nile Empire, pulp reality, but is largely based off of ancient Egypt. And, we also have some World War II desert warfare happening here as well. The cyber papacy, cyber religious reality, and so we have a lot of technology integration. Cyber papacy, of course, is in France, and France has a long history of major religious leaders, and so we have our cyber papacy. And then this book is basically trashed, but I just want to read it. So it. To me, having a book that is badly damaged isn't a big thing. The person who owned this before basically just 3-hole punched it and put it in a 3-ring binder, and so I might do the same thing. And then we have Space Gods, source book of science fiction reality, which I did not know that Space Gods was one of the original realms of Torg, or maybe it was a later realm of Torg. Let's just go ahead and check out the publication date for Space Gods, because I am either completely not in the know, or this is perhaps a later supplement. Nope, copyright 1991, and so I think that this wasn't too far afield from the other realms. And then the only realm book that is missing here is Orosh, which is the universal horror sort of setting with, like werewolves and vampires and things like that. And after I won this auction, I was like, forget it. I'm just going to spend $20 and I'm going to get my own copy of the Orosh supplement as well. And so let me know in the comments if I'm missing any of these major realms for Torg, because I think that I have a near complete set, if I include Orosh with this, of the different realities that are present in the original Torg universe. And so, let me know what I might be missing here, and I'll be doing some searching for that. I mean, I've searched on eBay, and I haven't really found any additional realms that aren't already covered by these books. So I am super excited for these books, because this is just all role-playing fodder that could go into any game. And I think that there's also a lot of connection between Torg and potential possibilities for Cyberpunk, which I featured Cyberpunk Red on the channel as well. Oh, but wait, we are not done, because I also got a variety of other little source books that came as part of the collection. And so we have Creatures of Isle, the fantasy realm, and just do a little bit of flip through, because odds are pretty good that we have some art here. Oh, and these are all unique-ish creatures. I mean, some of these are grounded in various mythologies, but Pegasi, unicorns. We have the Clerics source book. As I mentioned, clerics are a big deal in Torg. Okay. And so lots of information about miracles and how this interacts with the different realms. Hold on. Chasm of Tizravak. I'm not sure that there was a supplement that there was released for that. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it looks kind of Living Landish, but maybe this is a later one that was released. I don't know. Let me know. And these copies are marked up a bit, but that's okay, because it's just a little window into role-playing of the past. And as I mentioned in my last video, I have fond memories of Torg being this crazy game that opened up so many different possibilities. So an arms catalog, Kanawa Heavy Weapons. And we have The Land Below, a supplement for Torg role-playing the Possibility Wars. I'm not sure if this is an adventure or if this is a campaign. looks like it's kind of a campaign, if I'm reading this right, or maybe the better argument is it's kind of like an encounter book. And speaking of encounter books or encounter supplements, I'm still planning on releasing my next product on Miskatonic Repository for Call of Cthulhu. And I'm just waiting on a piece of art for that, but I should be getting it pretty soon. And then I will release that on DriveThru. We have the Delphi Council World Book, Volume 1. Okay. And so we have our charter for the Delphi Council, some original documents, and, you know, my understanding is this is basically the council that is sort of overseeing Earth's response to all these realms coming in. And so, you know, let's just check the table of contents here to see if it gives us any additional. It's just listed by region. It's not. So I'd have to dive into this book a little deeper to see what sort of lands they reference. But gosh, so much source material. Crucible of Pain and Adventure, short story for Torg, Murder, Madness, and Minicosms. And it comes in a couple of parts. Crucible of Pain is a novel concept in role-playing games, an adventure story and Torg scenario in one pack. While most role-playing products are intended for the Game Master only, the players are allowed to read the fiction section of this book. Game Master and players should read part 1 of the short story, then play the adventure scenario, The Nowhere Lands. After completing the game section, both players and Game Master can read part 2 of the story and see how everything ended up. You know, Torg is an example of something where, you know, West End Games they had total freedom to design, and work on this concept. And, I'm going to read a little bit more into the creation of Torg and the history. But, let's try to make some novel products, I guess. We have the Infiniverse Campaign Game Update, Volume 1. Ooh, look at that. I'm guessing that's Arash right there. We have a list here of all the different lands within the, at least within the Infiniverse campaign. This was released 1992. So, if there are additional lands for Torg that were published, I'm not finding it from the ones that I have. And, I don't know much about this campaign, but definitely interested in finding out more. And Creatures of Tharkold, so a specific book on, just like we had an Isle Creatures book, this is a Creatures of the techno-horror realm. And so Cyberplant, Cyborth, Death Mask, Glitter Dust, Liquefier, Progeny, Shards, Skitters, ugh, Sprites, Tar Pit Ghouls, Ghuls, love it. That would be something that could be easily migrated into Call of Cthulhu. Okay, so that creature book. And then finally, we have the Godnet, which is a supplement about virtual reality within the cyber papacy. And I'm not sure if this is, let's check to see if this is like, once again, sort of this is essentially a guide to the net or network for cyberpunk style things, specifically within the cyber papacy. And so it opens up with Genesis 1:1. Wow, detailed map of the regions of France, provinces and departments of the cyber papacy. So this will be a very, very additional detailed space source book about the cyber papacy. And so, it's a great collection. $80 for all these books. I mean, I'm not complaining. Okay, and I got a second copy of the box set that I didn't need, but what I really wanted out of this was all of these region books so that I can read up on those. And so happy to share that with all of you. I might have 2 videos coming out today, so watch for another video later today, because I have a major announcement for RPG Imaginings that'll be coming up soon. And I'm going to be receiving a lot of shipments of product over the next couple weeks. I mean, you probably all have noticed that the role playing game industry has been heavily affected by transportation delays from the pandemic, and so we have books from various games. I mean, for me, Traveler, um, Metamorphosis Alpha, Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green. There are just so many books from a variety of from all publishers basically that have been held up at customs, and so we just got to be patient under these circumstances because there's not really anything that we can do about it. But we should be getting a lot of games shipped in over the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to be excited to share this with all of you on the channel. So thanks so much, folks, for watching RPG Imaginings. I will have more wonderful gaming news coming at you soon. Bye-bye.